Madison Brooks was a vulnerable 19-year-old when she was out drinking with her friend. She was assaulted by four men and then left to die. She was a sophomore at LSU State University in Louisiana. Four male suspects in Louisiana have been arrested on RAPE related charges in connection with the investigation into the death of Madison Brooks, 19-year-old LSU student who left a bar with the suspects and was fatally struck by a car a short while later.
And this is where everything goes wrong. Surveillance footage from outside the bar shows Madison leaving, but she's not alone. She's following the four men, all four of them, out to the parking lot, toward a vehicle. According to statements the men would later give to police, Madison asked them for a ride home. Think about that for a moment. Madison didn't know these men. She didn't know where she was going, and by every account, including their own, she was in no condition to be making decisions about her safety. But she got into Kaysen Carver's vehicle anyway. Carver behind the wheel, Everett Lee in the passenger seat, and in the back, Madison, Kyvon Washington, and Desmond Carter. The car pulls away from Reggie's bar, and somewhere in the darkness of Baton Rouge, it stops. What happens next would become the center of a criminal case that's still unresolved more than 2 years later.
She had a blood alcohol level about 4 times the legal limit to drive. She had sex with 2 of the suspects and was then left alone to wander the streets before she was killed in a crash. Kyvon Washington, 18, Kaysen Carver, 18, Everett Lee, 28, and a 17-year-old juvenile all turned themselves in the following an investigation by the East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Department. Washington and the 17-year-old male were charged with 1 count each of third-degree RAPE, while Carver and Lee were charged with 1 count each of principal to third-degree RAPE. Under state law, third-degree RAPE is defined as sex with a victim who is incapable of resisting or of understanding the nature of the act by reason of a stupor or abnormal condition of mind due to being intoxicated. Carver and Lee are accused of being present but not participating in the alleged RAPE. The suspects and Brooker on the night of January 14th all had been drinking at Reggie's bar just off of the LSU campus. As the bar was closing, Brooks left with the suspects and got in Carver's vehicle, saying she needed a ride home and then did not know where her friends were. Carver and Lee sat in the front seat while Washington and the 17-year-old sat in the back with Brooks. In a voluntary interview with detectives, Carver allegedly admitted that Brooks was very unstable on her feet when leaving Reggie and was unable to speak without slurring her words. When Carver asked Brooks for her address, he said she fell over and could not answer him. Carver parked the car a short distance from the bar, and Brooks and the 17-year-old began to have consensual sex in the back seat of the car, at which point Washington exited the vehicle when they were finished. The 17-year-old exited the car and Washington re-entered and asked Brooks numerous times if she wanted to have sex, and she consented. I don't think she consented. She was too drunk to know what even was going on. She could even had alcohol poisoning. A short while later, Carver said that he told Washington and Brooks to stop having sex, and they all drove away to bring Brooks home. When asked if he thought Brooks was too impaired to consent to this sexual intercourse, Carver allegedly responded, "I guess." Carver said they drove around and tried to find Brooks' home before they finally dropped her off in a subdivision, very near where she was killed at 2:50 a.m. on January 16th. The driver of the vehicle that struck Brooks was not believed to be impaired and was not arrested. Washington also sat down for a voluntary interview with the investigators. He said that while in the back seat, his 17-year-old friend and Brooks touched each other's private areas, but denied witnessing them have sex and denied having sex with her. Washington also told investigators that Brooks was very intoxicated. Like when I tell you drunk, she was drunk. Washington also allegedly confirmed that Carver left Brooks at a subdivision near the crash scene. An autopsy conducted by the East Baton Rouge Coroner's Office determined that Brooks had injuries consistent with previous sexual assault anally. A toxicology test showed that her blood alcohol concentration was 0.319 at the time of her death. Defense attorney Joe Long, who was representing Carver in the matter, said that Brooks' death was a tragedy but not a crime. It most certainly was a crime. She was too intoxicated to think or know what was going on around her, and they took advantage of that. An RAPE is most certainly a crime. When all the evidence is known, everyone will see this was not a crime. Ron Haley, who is representing two other defendants in the matter, said that cell phone video from inside of Carver's vehicle shows that the sexual activity that took place was absolutely not a RAPE. Can you tell that she was intoxicated? Yes. To the point under the law that you say you're in a drunken stupor, to the point that you cannot lawfully give consent or answer questions. Absolutely, that was not the case. Haley also said that Brooks got out of the car with the suspect after they traveled to several locations and she and Carver got into an argument. Based on a disagreement, she got out of the vehicle. She indicated she was getting an Uber. I want the public to know these young men are really the driver of the vehicle, and the young men that were in there did not put her off on the side of the road. Haley also knew that he was going to provide investigators and prosecutors with a copy of the footage from inside the car. Brooks donated her kidneys and heart after she was struck by the vehicle. It's just sad what happened to her. If she would only stay with her friends as a group and never got in the car with those four guys, she would still be here today.
The very latest. Now to a story you'll only see on WDSU. A mother is turning her tragedy into triumph. Madison Brooks, an LSU student and North Shore native, died earlier this year after a night out. According to the East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office, Brooks was raped before she was hit and killed by a car. Brooks had a blood alcohol limit 4 times the legal limit. WDSU reporter Adam Siddiqui has more in a story you'll only see right here on WDSU.
For Ashley Boaster, it's been a long 4 months without her firstborn and best friend, Madison Brooks.
Maddie was brave, she was strong, she was fearless.
Madison's life was cut short in January after a night of drinking at Tigerland on LSU's campus. Police reports from the East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office show Brooks was dropped off at a subdivision, then hit and killed by a car. Records show when she got to the hospital, her blood alcohol level was 4 times the legal limit. 4 suspects are charged with raping Brooks moments before she was killed. And the bar Maddie spent her final moments at, temporarily losing their liquor license for serving alcohol to those underage.
I see life now as 2 parts, the life I had before she died and the life that I'm living now.
Her mother, Ashley, now starting the Madison Brooks Foundation.
We want to provide a scholarship for someone in need, to advocate for the safety of young adults, and to spread awareness for the gift of organ donation, which Maddie was able to donate her heart valves and her kidney.
In light of the tragedy, Senator Beth Mizell is proposing the bill CARDM, which stands for Create Alcohol Responsibility and Deterrence. This would ban anyone under the age of 21 entering Louisiana bars.
I think to walk away from that without responding to all the errors that were made in the way the system worked that night would be irresponsible on our part.
Mizell says she understands raising the age limit will create challenges with businesses, but she says she will fight to help save lives.
You cannot say, oh, we're following the law and we care about young people who come into our bar and be totally irresponsible with the way that you serve. So
it starts at the bar. How was she served that much? How did she get in this condition? If Maddie wouldn't have been there, none of this would have happened in the first place.
Anam Siddiqui, WDSU News.
Autumn, thank you. The Madison Brooks Foundation is holding one of its first events tomorrow night at LSU's Union Theater. Speakers will address topics like sexual assaults and consent. You'll find more information about this on our website, WDSU.com and the WDSU mobile app. Police say the investigation into her death remains ongoing.